Welcome back to Judge Judy Movie Analysis 2025. Can a broken relationship be reduced to a mere spreadsheet of petty debts? Or can irresponsibility be masked by ambiguous receipts? Today, we delve into episode 13,644 Best Amazing Cases Season 205, an episode that exposes the raw truth of post-breakup disputes, traffic accidents, and professional negligence. Join me, your narrator, as we dissect every detail and seek justice amidst the chaos of everyday life. This is a deep dive into human nature and expensive financial lessons. Part 1. Old Love and the Balance Sheet of Debts. Acri v. Jones. The first case, Case 2100 Acri vs. Jones, immediately throws us into a bitter fight between ex-lovers. The plaintiff, Ms. Corinne Acri, 28, is suing her ex-boyfriend, Mr. Donald Jones, for unpaid rent and utility bills. Mr. Jones, not to be outdone, countersues for lost rent, lost wages, and a loan to redeem Ms. Acri's stereo equipment from a pawn shop. From the title, I sense this would be a messy case typical of cohabiting couples lacking financial transparency. Judge Judy began by confirming that Ms. Acri and Mr. Jones lived together for a period, and both had signed the lease agreement. This detail is crucial. It immediately establishes joint legal responsibility for the rent, meaning both were at fault for any delays. Ms. Acri confirmed this was true. She mentioned a problem with the deposit or security deposit of $480. Ms. Acri claims she is owed $1,450, covering rent for September and October plus utilities. She explained she paid the rent for August and claimed to have paid for September, but Mr. Jones did not contribute. This suggests an unclear division of payments, a common mistake in relationships. Judge Judy directly asked Ms. Acri about August, and she confirmed she paid $380 in rent for that month. Judge Judy then asked about September and October. Ms. Acri insisted she paid for September, which Mr. Jones did not, and that he also failed to pay for October. I observed Ms. Acri attempting to build a narrative of financial victimhood, but the fact that both she and Mr. Jones signed the lease makes her own liability hard to fully dismiss. It was Mr. Donald Jones's turn to speak. He confirmed living with Ms. Acri and asserted that he paid the rent for the months he was there, including September. Mr. Jones presented a receipt for the September payment. This detail created a direct contradiction, and Judge Judy immediately focused on this evidence. Ms. Acri strongly rebutted, claiming the September receipt was actually for August rent. She explained she had paid August rent in cash, and Mr. Jones had paid by check, but later, Mr. Jones took the cash back from her. She claimed the landlord made a mistake by marking the receipt for September instead of August. This is a very weak defense. A receipt is physical proof, and blaming the landlord for a mislabeling is a desperate attempt to explain the contradiction. Judge Judy emphasized that if the receipt says September, it's September, unless there is clear evidence otherwise. Judge Judy moved on to the security deposit issue. Ms. Acri confirmed the deposit was $480, and they had each contributed half. Then, a detail that surprised me emerged. Ms. Acri admitted that the property manager withheld the full $480 deposit due to damages she had caused in the apartment. Ms. Acri's self-admission of causing damages, which led to the loss of the joint deposit, was a self-sabotaging action against her own claim for compensation. Judge Judy immediately criticized Ms. Acri for this, stressing that the fault was hers and she caused both of them to lose that money. I see clear irresponsibility here. Ms. Acri not only damaged the property, but also forfeited their shared fund. Judge Judy turned to Mr. Jones's counterclaim. He was suing for September rent and lost wages. Mr. Jones claimed Ms. Acri tore his shirt and uniform during an argument, preventing him from going to work and costing him $500 in wages. This is a ridiculous claim. Losing $500 in wages just because of a torn shirt is an unacceptable exaggeration. Judge Judy also questioned the plausibility of this demand, asking Mr. Jones why he didn't just buy a new shirt. Mr. Jones claimed it would take him a week to get a new uniform, an unconvincing excuse. Judge Judy dismissed Mr. Jones's claim for September rent, as he had presented the receipt clearly marking it as the September payment. She emphasized he could not sue for something he had already paid. The final issue was the $300 Mr. Jones spent to redeem Ms. Ackery's stereo equipment from the pawn shop. Ms. Ackery admitted Mr. Jones took the items out of pawn, but insisted it was not a loan. She said Mr. Jones did it voluntarily. Mr. Jones refuted this, maintaining it was a loan. Judge Judy asked if Ms. Ackery intended to repay the money. Ms. Ackery replied that she didn't have the money yet. Judge Judy delivered the final analysis. She dismissed Ms. Ackery's claims for September and October rent because Ms. Ackery had caused $480 in deposit damages, and this amount was considered an offset for anything Mr. Jones might have owed. She also dismissed Mr. Jones's claim for lost wages, as there was no evidence that a torn shirt would cause him to lose his job. Verdict: Judge Judy ruled in favor of Mr. Donald Jones for the $300 stereo redemption loan, ordering Ms. Corinne Ackery to repay this amount. All other claims were dismissed. I find this to be a fair verdict, a perfect offset for the irresponsibility of both parties. Ms. Ackery lost the deposit due to her own actions, and Mr. Jones lost his counterclaim due to unsubstantiated exaggeration. The lesson here is to always keep evidence and never lie about the consequence of a torn shirt. Part 2. Deceit and the Scooter Accident, Youngblood v. Alcala. We move to Case 2154 Youngblood vs. Alcala, a lawsuit claiming medical costs and pain and suffering following an electric scooter accident. The plaintiff, Ms. Roxana Youngblood, is suing Mr. Matthew Alcala for $1,500. Ms. Roxana Youngblood presented her story, which occurred around 10 p.m. while she was walking on the sidewalk. She claimed she was hit from behind by Mr. Alcala's electric scooter. She described falling to the ground, hitting her head, and suffering temporary amnesia. She had to go to the hospital. I felt concern for Ms. Youngblood. Being hit from behind without warning on a sidewalk, which is meant for pedestrians, is a blatant violation. Judge Judy requested to see the medical bills, which Ms. Youngblood presented. Ms. Youngblood insisted she was not at fault. She was just walking normally. It was Mr. Matthew Alcala's turn. He immediately denied responsibility. He claimed he was not the one driving the electric scooter. He admitted the scooter was his, but the driver was his friend. This is a very predictable responsibility evasion tactic and one that usually fails before Judge Judy. Judge Judy immediately countered. She stressed that if he wasn't the driver, he had the responsibility to provide the driver's name to Ms. Youngblood. Mr. Alcala still tried to evade, saying Ms. Youngblood was running on the sidewalk and injured herself, and he didn't want to drag his friend into this. This defense annoyed me. His attempt to shield his friend by lying and blaming the victim is unacceptable. Judge Judy turned back to Ms. Youngblood and asked about the scooter's speed. Ms. Youngblood said it was very fast, but she wasn't sure exactly how fast. Judge Judy returned to Mr. Alcala. He finally had to admit that he was the one driving the electric scooter. Judge Judy intensely questioned him about lying from the beginning. Mr. Alcala offered the ridiculous excuse that he thought if he denied it, he wouldn't be held responsible. This lack of honesty completely destroyed his credibility. Judge Judy asked about the police report. The report noted both parties' statements, but did not conclude fault. Judge Judy clarified a key point. A sidewalk is for pedestrians, not for motorized vehicles. Mr. Alcala's act of riding an electric scooter on the sidewalk violated the law and was the direct cause of the accident. Judge Judy reviewed Ms. Youngblood's medical bills and found the costs to be reasonable. She dismissed the defense about his friend driving and his initial dishonesty. Verdict: Judge Judy ruled in favor of Ms. Roxana Youngblood, ordering Mr. Matthew Alcala to pay $1,500. Judge Judy concluded that Mr. Alcala's conduct in driving on the sidewalk was a violation, and he was absolutely responsible for Ms. Youngblood's injuries. I completely agree. Mr. Alcala's lie was the clearest evidence of his guilt. This verdict is a strong reminder of traffic responsibility and the necessity of honesty when facing justice. Part 3. The End of Friendship and the Refrigerator Martin v. Pledger. Next is Case 2167 Martin v. Pledger, a dispute between two former close friends, Ms. Dion Martin and Ms. Nikita Pledger, involving rent and a refrigerator. Ms. Dion Martin claimed $1,500 in compensation. Ms. Martin and Ms. Pledger had lived together for a time, and Ms. Martin asserted she paid the rent for the months Ms. Pledger stayed. Ms. Nikita Pledger countered. Ms. Pledger claimed she incurred costs to rent a truck to move her belongings out of the apartment and paid rent for her new apartment. Ms. Pledger insisted she paid the rent in full for the months she stayed. Judge Judy asked Ms. Martin about the lease agreement. Ms. Martin admitted Ms. Pledger was not named on the lease. This detail immediately and significantly weakened Ms. Martin's claim for rent, as the direct legal responsibility belonged to the person who signed the contract. The issue shifted to the refrigerator. Ms. Martin demanded Ms. Pledger pay back $400 for the purchase of the refrigerator Ms. Pledger was using. Ms. Martin presented the purchase receipt, but her name was not clearly indicated on it. Ms. Pledger admitted she was using the refrigerator, but claimed she paid Ms. Martin $300 to buy it. Ms. Pledger had no evidence of payment, no check, receipt, or text message. I see a lack of financial documentation on both sides. Judge Judy asked about their relationship. Ms. Martin confirmed she asked Ms. Pledger to leave after several major arguments. Judge Judy returned to the rent claim. Since Ms. Pledger did not sign the lease and there was no clear evidence of a specific verbal agreement, Ms. Martin's claim was very difficult to prove. Verdict: Judge Judy dismissed Ms. Martin's rent claim. However, she ruled in favor of Ms. Martin for the refrigerator compensation, ordering Ms. Nikita Pledger to pay $400. Judge Judy explained that although Ms. Pledger claimed she paid, the lack of any payment evidence, while Ms. Martin had the initial purchase proof, made Ms. Pledger's testimony unreliable. This verdict is a reasonable balance, emphasizing that even in a friendship, property remains property. It is a reminder to everyone, even when dealing with friends, always keep proof of payment. Part 4. Absolute Pet Owner Responsibility. Skaggs v. Young. Next up is Case 2176 Skaggs vs. Young, a dog bite case. The plaintiff, Ms. Roxanne Skaggs, is suing Mr. William Young for $1,500 for medical costs and pain and suffering. Ms. Roxanne Skaggs presented that she was bitten by Mr. William Young's dog, causing a serious injury to her leg. She recounted that the incident occurred while she was walking, and the dog ran out of Mr. Young's yard and attacked her. Ms. Skaggs presented evidence of the injury and medical bills. She said the wound required stitches and later became infected, costing $1,000 to treat. She requested an additional $500 for pain and suffering. This severe injury immediately heightened the seriousness of the case. It was Mr. William Young's turn. He admitted the dog was his, but claimed it was leashed in the backyard and could not have gotten out. Mr. Young offered the defense that Ms. Skaggs might have trespassed into his yard or provoked the dog. Judge Judy asked Mr. Young about the injury. Mr. Young admitted seeing the wound and calling Ms. Skaggs to apologize and check on her. However, Mr. Young still did not fully accept responsibility. Judge Judy immediately clarified the law regarding dog ownership. She stressed that the owner of an animal is held under strict liability for the animal's actions, especially when the dog bites someone and causes injury. She dismissed Mr. Young's defenses about the dog being leashed or Ms. Skaggs entering the yard. Verdict: Judge Judy ruled in favor of Ms. Roxanne Skaggs, ordering Mr. William Young to pay $1,500. She concluded that Mr. Young was absolutely responsible for the dog's behavior, and the medical costs and pain and suffering compensation were reasonable. This verdict is a powerful wake-up call about pet owner responsibility. You cannot evade liability when your animal harms another person. Part 5. Lack of professionalism and property damage. Lombardo v. Dandria. The final case is Case 2188 Lombardo vs. Dandria, a dispute over repair costs and property damage between two neighbors. The plaintiff, Ms. Tony Lombardo, is suing Mr. Joseph Dandria for $3,000. Ms. Tony Lombardo presented that she hired Mr. Joseph Dandria to perform some repair work in her house. Ms. Lombardo claimed Mr. Dandria damaged her property during the work, including water pipes and walls, and she had to hire someone else to fix it. She requested Mr. Dandria reimburse the repair costs and compensate for the damage. Ms. Lombardo presented the invoice from the subsequent repairman. Judge Judy asked about the type of work Mr. Dandria performed. Ms. Lombardo detailed the pipe and wall repairs. Ms. Lombardo also presented photographic evidence of the damage Mr. Dandria caused, which clearly demonstrated a lack of professionalism and negligence. It was Mr. Joseph D'Andrea's turn to speak. Mr. D'Andrea, a handyman, refuted that he performed the work as requested and that the damages were unintentional. Mr. D'Andrea claimed he tried to fix the damage, but Ms. Lombardo did not allow him. Judge Judy asked Mr. D'Andrea about his experience and professional license. Mr. D'Andrea admitted he was an unlicensed handyman. This detail immediately weakened his position before the court. Ms. Lombardo presented a detailed repair invoice from the subsequent contractor, proving the cost she had to pay to rectify Mr. D'Andrea's mistakes. This invoice was the strongest physical evidence in the lawsuit. Verdict: Judge Judy ruled in favor of Ms. Tony Lombardo, ordering Mr. Joseph D'Andrea to pay $3,000. She concluded that Mr. D'Andrea did not perform the work professionally and caused serious damage to Ms. Lombardo's property. This verdict is a warning to those who hire unlicensed contractors. The damage caused by a lack of expertise can be far more expensive than hiring a licensed professional from the start. Part 6. In-depth analysis and next development predictions. After dissecting every piece of episode 13,640 for Best Amazing Cases Season 2-5, I observe a recurring theme: the evasion of responsibility and its costly consequences. Judge Judy did not just judge based on evidence, but also on the ethics and consistency of the testimony. In Acri v. Jones, the truth about the September receipt remains murky, but Judge Judy handled it pragmatically by offsetting the potential debt with the lost security deposit due to Corinne Acri's fault. This was a balanced decision, a reminder that no irresponsible action is exempt from consequence. I predict Corinne Acri will face deep disappointment after this verdict. She sued to get money back, but ultimately had to pay Donald Jones $300. This might make her feel wronged, even though legally, she was completely at fault for damaging the apartment. She will become more financially conservative, but perhaps won't fully learn the lesson about transparency and honesty from the start. The possibility of her trying to negotiate an installment payment for the $300 to Jones is high, creating another small argument outside the courtroom. As for Donald Jones, he won $300 but lost his wage claim due to the clumsy lie about the torn shirt. I speculate Jones will use the $300 to quickly cut all ties with Acri. His lesson is never to exaggerate damages. However, his tendency to nickel and dime an ex-partner might still be present. I predict he is a character who will continue to have small financial disputes in future relationships. The Youngblood v. Alcala case is a lesson in honesty. Matthew Alcala's admission to lying after being cornered clearly showed his cowardly nature. Although he has to pay $1,500, I believe the lesson in honesty is the most expensive one. I predict Matthew Alcala will attempt to justify his behavior to friends and family, blaming a misunderstanding or overly strict laws. He might become hostile towards Ms. Youngblood and seek emotional revenge, even if just through slander. However, behaviorally, he will be much more careful about riding on sidewalks, as he has learned a painful financial lesson. In Martin v. Pledger, the dissolution of the friendship was settled only by compensating for the refrigerator. Both women failed to establish a clear rental contract. I speculate Dion Martin and Nikita Pledger will never look at each other again. The refrigerator verdict is the final nail in the coffin for any contact. Pledger has to pay for the fridge she's using, but the relationship is destroyed. Both will learn the lesson not to live with friends unless there is a clear contract, even a detailed one about kitchen appliances. Finally, the Skaggs v. Young dog bite case and the Lombardo v. D'Andrea repair case are strong warnings about professional and property responsibility. I believe William Young will be shocked by the $1,500 cost and will significantly increase control over his dog. He might even consider muzzling or seeking stricter training solutions. As for Joseph D'Andrea, being ordered to pay $3,000 will be a major blow to his unlicensed repair career. I predict he will temporarily stop taking large jobs until he obtains a license or insurance. Otherwise, he will face a similar series of lawsuits. In summary, my prediction leans towards reluctant behavioral change. People learn their lessons, but often in the most painful way and only enough to avoid being sued again. Justice here is not just about money, but about maturity. Part 7. Conclusion and Call to Action. Episode 13,640 for Best Amazing Cases Season 2-5 offered a multifaceted picture of the petty but intense conflicts in modern life. From negligence in housing management, the danger of electric scooters on sidewalks, to the consequences of irresponsible pet ownership and hiring unlicensed contractors, every case was a warning. Judge Judy, with her sharp wit and experience, not only ruled on money, but also forced the litigants to confront their own deceit and lack of responsibility. She proved that in her courtroom, evidence and truth always triumph over clumsy lies. The biggest lesson I take away today is, act responsibly and always have evidence for every transaction, whether it's with an ex-lover or a best friend. In your opinion, in the Acri v. Jones case, did Judge Judy's decision to offset the rent claim with the lost security deposit truly resolve the underlying issues between the two parties? Or was it merely a financial closure? Share your thoughts and don't forget to subscribe to Judge Judy Movie Analysis 2025 to continue analyzing fascinating legal stories and drawing valuable lessons for our own lives. See you in the next episode.